You have lain awake at night staring at the ceiling, wondering why you keep repeating the same mistakes no matter how hard you try to change. That quiet ache is difficult to explain. Your chest feels heavy. Your mind refuses to slow down. Old memories return without permission, and tomorrow already feels like another copy of yesterday. If you have ever felt that way, you are not alone. What you are experiencing is not a lack of potential. It is the result of a pattern your subconscious has been repeating for far too long. By the time you reach the end of this audiobook, you will understand how to replace that pattern with a new way of thinking that brings greater peace, confidence, and purpose into your everyday life. The process begins with one truth that most people never question. There is a hidden story shaping every decision you make, and once you finally recognize it. Chapter 1. You have been living inside the wrong story. You stare at the ceiling long after the room has gone quiet. Your phone is finally face down. The messages have stopped. The work is finished for today, yet your mind refuses to rest. It keeps replaying old conversations. It reminds you of chances you missed. It predicts problems that have not happened. You turn from one side to the other, hoping sleep will silence the noise, but another thought arrives before the last one leaves. The strange part is that every night feels almost the same, as if an invisible script has already decided what your mind will think before your head even touches the pillow. Most people believe they are reacting to life as it happens. It feels true because every emotion seems connected to something outside of you. A difficult conversation creates worry. A bill creates stress. A rejection creates sadness. But if that were the whole story, every person would respond the same way to the same event. They do not. One person sees an ending. Another sees a beginning. One person feels trapped. Another feels challenged. The event matters, but the story you tell yourself about the event shapes everything that follows. That story is often so familiar that you no longer notice it. It has become the voice that sounds like you. It says you always struggle. It says people never understand you. It says success belongs to someone else. It says tomorrow will probably look like yesterday. The longer you hear those words, the less they sound like opinions, and the more they sound like facts. Your subconscious does not spend its time arguing with repeated thoughts. It records patterns. It notices what returns again and again. Whatever you repeat with enough feeling becomes familiar. Whatever becomes familiar begins to feel safe, even when it creates pain. That is why people sometimes remain inside habits they truly want to leave behind. The habit has become part of the story, and the story has become part of their identity. The universe responds in ways that are often quieter than people expect. It does not always answer with sudden miracles or dramatic signs. More often, it reflects the frequency you carry into each day. Your attention changes what you notice. Your expectations influence your choices. Your choices create results. Then those results appear to confirm the story you already believed. The cycle continues until someone becomes willing to question the story itself. This is why changing your life is rarely about forcing every outside circumstance to change first. The deeper work begins with noticing the invisible words that guide your attention. If you believe every opportunity will disappear, your eyes naturally search for proof. If you believe no one values your effort, every small disappointment becomes another piece of evidence. Your mind quietly collects support for whatever it expects to find. Many people mistake this process for fate. They say life simply happens to them. Yet two people can stand in the same place and see completely different possibilities. One notices closed doors, the other notices open windows. Their surroundings are almost identical, but their inner stories point their attention in different directions. You were not born believing you were limited. Those ideas arrived one experience at a time. A careless comment, a difficult season, a painful failure, a moment of embarrassment. None of those moments had the power to define your future on their own. They became powerful only because they were repeated inside your mind until they felt permanent. There is good news hidden inside that truth. Anything repeated can also be replaced, not instantly, not through denial, not by pretending every problem has disappeared. Change happens because the mind learns through consistency. The story loses strength when it stops receiving daily attention. Today, begin with one simple exercise. Find a quiet place before the day ends. Sit with a notebook or a blank page. Write one sentence that you often hear inside your own mind when life becomes difficult. Only one sentence. Keep it honest. Perhaps it says, "Nothing ever works out for me." Perhaps it says, "I am always behind." Perhaps it says, "People never see my value." Once you write it down, look at it as though it belongs to someone else. Ask yourself one calm question. Is this an unchanging truth, or is it a sentence I have repeated so many times that it feels true? Do not rush the answer. Stay with the question for 5 quiet minutes. Tomorrow morning, before you check your phone or speak to anyone, stand where you can breathe without distraction. Place one hand over your chest. Take 5 slow breaths. After each breath, repeat one sentence that reflects the person you are becoming, not the person your old story described. Keep it simple. I respond with calm. I notice new opportunities. I grow stronger through steady action. Say the same sentence 5 times. Then begin your day without arguing with it. Your mind may resist. That is normal. Your task is repetition, not perfection. This week, create one small action that supports your new story. If your old story says you never finish anything, complete one task each day before noon, even if it only takes 10 minutes. If your old story says people ignore you, make one genuine connection without expecting anything in return. If your old story says you cannot improve, spend 15 minutes learning one useful skill every evening. Small actions carry a signal that words alone cannot send. They teach the subconscious through experience. Do not measure your progress by emotional excitement. Some days you will feel inspired. Other days you will feel ordinary. The subconscious responds more to repeated behavior than temporary emotion. Quiet consistency reaches deeper than occasional intensity. There will also be moments when your old story returns with surprising strength. You may wake up discouraged. You may hear criticism and feel the familiar voice telling you nothing has changed. Do not fight that voice with anger. Simply notice it. Thank it for trying to protect you in the only way it knows. Then, return to the sentence you have chosen. Return to the action you promised yourself. Every return weakens the old pattern. Patience has a frequency of its own. It does not rush. It does not demand proof every hour. It trusts that seeds grow beneath the surface, long before anyone sees green leaves. Many people quit because they expect visible results before invisible roots have formed. The mind does not transform according to your preferred schedule. It transforms according to your repeated practice. There is another quiet shift that begins to happen. As your story changes, your attention changes with it. You notice people who encourage growth instead of fear. You notice ideas that once seemed impossible. You notice moments of gratitude that previously passed without recognition. The world has not suddenly become different. Your perception has become clearer. A man named Daniel experienced this in a simple way. For years he believed he was always one step behind everyone else. Each morning he compared himself with people who seemed more successful. Each evening he reminded himself of everything he had not achieved. One night he wrote down that sentence, "I am always behind." The next morning he replaced it with, "I move forward every day through steady action." He repeated it without expecting magic. He completed one important task before checking social media. He did the same thing for 7 days. By the end of the week, his income had not doubled. His entire life had not transformed overnight. Yet something meaningful had changed. He no longer spent hours feeding the old story. He noticed more energy. He finished work that had been delayed for months. Friends commented that he seemed calmer. His outer life began changing because his daily pattern had changed first. Many people overlook these quiet victories because they are waiting for dramatic proof. They forget that every lasting change begins as something almost invisible. Confidence starts as one different choice. Peace begins with one calmer response. A new future often starts with one sentence repeated faithfully when no one else is listening. You cannot control every event that enters your life. You cannot prevent every disappointment or every unexpected turn. Trying to control everything only creates more resistance. What you can control is the story that greets each experience. You can choose whether difficulty becomes evidence that life is against you or evidence that you are becoming stronger. That choice slowly changes the signal you carry into tomorrow. Every night, your mind prepares for another day. It organizes memories. It strengthens patterns. It quietly asks which thoughts deserve to become familiar. Give it something worthy of remembering. Give it words that point toward possibility instead of fear. Give it actions that match those words. Give it enough time to learn. Tonight, before you close your eyes, listen carefully to the first sentence your mind offers you. Do not accept it simply because it is familiar. Decide whether it belongs to the life you truly want. If it does not, replace it with one sentence that does. Then repeat that sentence every day for the next 7 days without missing once. That is your challenge. Chapter 2. Your subconscious accepts every thought you repeat. You wake up and reach for your phone before your eyes are fully open. Within minutes, you are reading news, checking messages, comparing your life to someone else's highlights, and thinking about everything that could go wrong today. You have not made a conscious decision to think this way. It simply happens. The same thoughts arrive with familiar timing, as if they have been waiting beside your bed all night. By the time you stand up, your mood already feels decided. The day has barely begun, yet your mind has quietly chosen the direction it will travel. Most people believe they think freely. In reality, much of what happens inside the mind is repeated instead of created. The subconscious prefers what is familiar. It does not wake up each morning searching for a completely new way to see the world. It reaches for patterns that have been practiced again and again. That is how habits are formed. That is how beliefs become automatic. That is how one passing thought, repeated often enough, slowly becomes part of your identity. Think about learning to write your name. At first, Every letter required attention. You had to slow down. You had to remember each movement. Now you can write it without thinking. Your subconscious learned through repetition until the action became natural. The same process shapes your emotional life. If you repeat fear every day, fear becomes easier to access. If you repeat confidence every day, confidence begins to feel familiar instead. This is neither punishment nor reward. It is simply the way the mind is designed. The subconscious is always listening. It listens when you speak aloud. It listens when you whisper to yourself. It even listens when you silently replay old memories. It does not constantly ask whether your thoughts are helpful. It notices which thoughts return most often and treats them as important. This is why casual words matter more than many people realize. When you repeatedly say, "I always fail," your subconscious hears a direction. When you often say, "Nothing ever changes," it begins organizing your attention around that expectation. Soon you notice every disappointment while overlooking signs of progress. The belief grows stronger because your attention keeps feeding it. The universe often responds through this quiet partnership between thought and attention. Your frequency is not created by one hopeful sentence spoken once. It is shaped by the emotional patterns you return to day after day. A peaceful frequency comes from practicing peace. A grateful frequency grows through repeated gratitude. The universe reflects the signal that becomes steady, not the signal that appears for a single afternoon. Many people become discouraged because they try positive words for a few days and expect immediate transformation. When nothing dramatic happens, they decide the process does not work. They forget how long they practiced the old story. Some limiting beliefs have been repeated for years. It is unreasonable to expect a few moments of new thinking to erase thousands of old repetitions overnight. The subconscious learns through patience. Every repeated thought is like another drop of water filling a container. One drop seems insignificant. 100 drops begin to matter. 1,000 drops change the level completely. Small moments rarely feel powerful while they are happening, yet they quietly shape the direction of your life. Notice something important. Repetition does not require strong emotion every time. You do not need to feel inspired whenever you practice a new belief. In fact, the most meaningful changes often happen on ordinary days. You repeat a healthier thought even when you feel tired. You choose a calmer response even when no one notices. Those quiet moments teach the subconscious that the new pattern is becoming normal. This is also why protecting your attention matters. Every conversation you replay, every headline you absorb without question, every complaint you repeat, and every fear you entertain becomes another possible lesson for your subconscious. Your mind is always learning. The real question is what you are teaching it. Today, begin with a simple awareness exercise. Carry a small notebook or use the Notes app on your phone. 3 times during the day, stop for 1 minute. Write the strongest thought that has been repeating in your mind over the past hour. Do not judge it. Simply record it exactly as it appears. By evening, read what you have written. You may discover that the same sentence appears again and again. Most people are surprised to learn how repetitive their inner conversation really is. Tomorrow morning, create one intentional repetition before the world speaks to you. Sit somewhere quiet. Close your eyes for 1 minute. Breathe slowly through your nose and out through your mouth. Choose one sentence that reflects who you are becoming. Make it believable. I grow stronger through steady choices. My mind supports my future. Peace begins with the thoughts I practice. Repeat the sentence 10 times with calm attention. Do not rush. Speak as if you are giving your subconscious clear instructions instead of trying to convince yourself. During this week, build one evening habit that prepares your mind before sleep. 10 minutes before going to bed, turn off every screen. Sit quietly and write down 3 moments from your day that deserve appreciation. They do not need to be extraordinary. Perhaps someone smiled at you. Perhaps you completed a difficult task. Perhaps you simply kept a promise to yourself. After writing those moments, read your chosen sentence one more time before closing your eyes. Sleep often strengthens what the mind rehearses before rest. Do not worry if old thoughts interrupt you. They probably will. A repeated thought cannot disappear simply because you wish it away. Trying to force it out often gives it even more attention. Instead, notice it with calm awareness. Recognize it as an old habit rather than an unchangeable truth. Then return to your chosen thought without frustration. The mind follows what receives consistent attention. If you spend 5 minutes practicing confidence, but 5 hours repeating doubt, the stronger pattern will usually remain. This is why awareness is more valuable than occasional motivation. Awareness helps you notice when you are feeding the wrong belief before it becomes stronger. There will be days when progress feels invisible. You may wonder whether anything is changing. Keep practicing anyway. The deepest work often happens below conscious awareness. Roots grow underground before branches reach toward the sky. Your subconscious is reorganizing patterns long before your emotions fully reflect the change. A woman named Sarah experienced this in a quiet but meaningful way. Every morning she began her day by saying, "I'm already behind." She believed it was simply a realistic observation. After becoming aware of the pattern, she replaced it with a different sentence. "I move through today with purpose." She repeated it every morning and every evening. At first, nothing felt different. The old sentence still tried to return. She gently replaced it each time without becoming discouraged. 2 weeks later, she noticed she no longer rushed through every task. She planned her mornings instead of reacting to them. Her coworkers commented that she seemed more relaxed. The pressure she had carried for years began to fade, not because her responsibilities disappeared, but because the repeated thought guiding her actions had changed. Your life is influenced less by the occasional inspiring idea and more by the ordinary thoughts you practice every day. Those quiet repetitions become expectations. Expectations influence choices. Choices create habits. Habits shape character. Character influences the direction of your future. There is wisdom in accepting that you cannot monitor every thought that enters your mind. Some thoughts arrive because of old conditioning. Some appear because of stress or fatigue. Their arrival is not the most important part. Your response is. Every time you choose which thought deserves another moment of attention, you are training your subconscious. The universe does not ask you to become perfect before you receive new opportunities. It responds to steady alignment. Each repeated thought of gratitude changes your frequency a little. Each repeated act of patience strengthens inner stability. Each repeated choice to believe growth is possible becomes another signal that you are ready for something different. Your subconscious is always listening, even during ordinary moments that seem too small to matter. It hears what you repeat while washing dishes. It hears what you whisper during difficult days. It hears the words you speak after making a mistake. It learns from everything you practice consistently. Before you fall asleep tonight, pay close attention to the sentence you repeat most often when you think about your future. If that sentence carries fear, limitation, or defeat, do not argue with it. Simply replace it with one sentence that reflects the life you are choosing to build. Repeat it slowly 10 times before you close your eyes. Then do the same tomorrow and every night for the next 7 days without missing once. That is your challenge. Chapter 3. The universe reflects your hidden inner frequency. You are standing in a grocery store, waiting in a short line that barely moves. The person in front of you sighs loudly. Someone behind you complains about the delay. Without realizing it, your shoulders tighten, your breathing becomes shallow, your mind begins searching for other things that are going wrong today. A single moment has quietly changed the direction of your thoughts. Nothing truly important has happened, yet your inner state has shifted. By the time you leave the store, the world seems heavier than it did when you walked in. Most people believe life is shaped only by the events they experience. They rarely notice how much their inner state influences what those events become. Your mind is not simply observing reality. It is constantly interpreting it. Every experience passes through your expectations, your memories, and your emotional patterns before it becomes your personal truth. This inner state is what many people describe as your frequency. It is not something mysterious that exists outside your daily life. It is the emotional atmosphere you carry into each conversation, each decision, and each ordinary moment. It is built from the thoughts you repeat, the emotions you practice, and the beliefs you quietly accept. When your frequency is filled with fear, your attention naturally searches for danger. When it is filled with resentment, you easily notice disrespect. When it is filled with gratitude, opportunities become easier to recognize. The world has not suddenly changed. Your awareness has changed, and awareness influences experience more than most people realize. The subconscious plays an important role in this process. It filters enormous amounts of information every second. There is simply too much happening around you to notice everything. Your subconscious decides what deserves your attention based on what it believes matters most. If you have trained it to expect rejection, it highlights rejection. If you have trained it to expect growth, it begins noticing possibilities that were always present but previously ignored. This is one reason people living in similar circumstances often create very different lives. They are not seeing the same world. Their subconscious filters are directing their attention toward different evidence. One person wakes up looking for reasons to give up. Another wakes up looking for reasons to keep moving forward. The difference may seem small at first, but repeated over months and years, it changes everything. The universe often reflects this process in subtle ways. It responds through alignment rather than force. When your inner life becomes calmer, your decisions become wiser. When your decisions become wiser, your relationships improve. When your relationships improve, new opportunities naturally appear. Someone watching from the outside may call it luck. You recognize it as the result of carrying a different frequency into ordinary moments. This does not mean difficult things will never happen. Every life includes disappointment. Every person experiences loss, uncertainty, and seasons that feel unfair. A peaceful frequency does not remove every obstacle. It changes how you meet those obstacles. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is this experience teaching me?" That single question shifts your attention from helplessness toward growth. Many people spend years trying to control the outside world while ignoring the condition of their inner world. They change jobs, move to different cities, begin new relationships, and purchase new things, hoping a different environment will create lasting peace. Yet wherever they go, the same fearful story follows them, because their frequency remains unchanged. Peace cannot be borrowed from circumstances. It grows from within, through repeated choices. Every calm response strengthens it. Every moment of gratitude deepens it. Every act of patience gives it another place to take root. Notice how your body responds to different thoughts. Think about a painful memory for 30 seconds. Your breathing changes. Your muscles tighten. Your heartbeat may even become faster. Now think about someone you deeply appreciate. Your face softens. Your breathing slows. Your body responds because your inner state is real. It is not imaginary. The subconscious and the body are always communicating. That communication influences the signal you carry throughout the day. People often respond to calmness with trust. They respond to confidence with respect. They respond to genuine kindness with openness. Your frequency quietly shapes the quality of many interactions before a single word is spoken. Today, begin with one exercise that takes less than 5 minutes. Pause 3 different times during the day. Before speaking, before sending an important message, or before making a decision, ask yourself one simple question. What feeling am I carrying right now? Do not analyze it. Name it with one honest word. Calm, fear, gratitude, frustration, hope. Awareness alone begins changing your frequency because you stop living on automatic. Tomorrow morning, spend 10 minutes protecting your first thoughts. Do not reach for your phone immediately. Sit comfortably. Take 10 slow breaths. After each breath, repeat one sentence that creates the emotional state you want to practice. I choose peace before pressure. I carry patience into every conversation. Today, I notice opportunities instead of obstacles. Then picture yourself moving through one ordinary part of your day while holding that feeling. See yourself standing in traffic without anger. See yourself answering a difficult email with calm. Teach your subconscious the emotional pattern before the day begins. During this week, choose one daily act that reflects the frequency you want to strengthen. If you want more gratitude, thank one person sincerely every day. If you want more confidence, complete one task you have been avoiding. If you want more peace, spend 15 minutes walking without music or distractions while paying attention to your breathing. Frequency grows stronger when your actions agree with your thoughts. Do not become discouraged if negative emotions still appear. They are part of being human. The goal is not to eliminate every difficult feeling. The goal is to stop allowing temporary emotions to become permanent identities. Feeling fear does not mean you are a fearful person. Feeling doubt does not mean your future is limited. Emotions visit. Identity remains your choice. As your frequency changes, your relationships often change as well. Some people will feel more comfortable around you because your calmness gives them permission to relax. Others may become uncomfortable because your growth reminds them of changes they have been avoiding. Accept both responses without resentment. Everyone moves at a different pace. There will also be moments when nothing seems to happen. You practice gratitude, yet the promotion has not arrived. You practice patience, yet the challenge remains. Do not mistake silence for failure. The deepest changes usually begin where your eyes cannot yet see them. Roots grow before fruit appears. Character strengthens before circumstances reflect it. A man named Michael spent years believing that every conversation with his manager would end in criticism. Before every meeting, he repeated anxious thoughts without noticing. His body became tense before he entered the room. His answers became short and uncertain. One week, he decided to change only one thing. Before each meeting, he took 5 slow breaths and quietly repeated, "I bring calm and clarity into this conversation." He practiced it every day. Within a few weeks, something unexpected happened. His manager had not completely changed, but Michael had. He listened more carefully. He spoke with greater confidence. Small misunderstandings disappeared. Soon he was trusted with more responsibility. His opportunities expanded because the frequency he carried into each interaction had changed. This is how lasting transformation usually begins. Not through one extraordinary event, but through hundreds of ordinary moments lived differently. Every repeated choice sends a quiet signal to your subconscious. Every consistent action strengthens your alignment. Every peaceful response becomes another reminder that you no longer have to live according to yesterday's emotional habits. You cannot control every opinion someone has about you. You cannot predict every surprise waiting in the future. You cannot force the universe to move according to your preferred schedule. What you can control is the atmosphere you create within yourself. That atmosphere becomes the foundation for every decision you make. Your hidden frequency is never completely hidden. It appears in your words, your posture, your patience, your attention, and your choices. The universe reflects it over time, not because of magic, but because your inner condition quietly shapes the life you build one decision at a time. Tonight, before you fall asleep, sit in silence for 5 minutes and ask yourself one question: what feeling have I practiced more than any other today? Accept the answer without judgment, then choose the feeling you want to strengthen tomorrow and repeat one simple sentence that supports it before you close your eyes. Continue this practice every day for the next 7 days without making excuses. That is your challenge. Chapter 4. You can choose a new reality today. You are halfway through an ordinary day when something small goes wrong. A message you expected never arrives. A plan changes without warning. Someone speaks to you with less kindness than you hoped. Within seconds, an old feeling appears. You begin thinking the day is ruined. Your energy drops. The next few hours seem to follow that same direction. Looking back later, you may believe those outside events controlled your experience. Yet the turning point happened much earlier. It happened the moment you accepted one familiar thought without questioning it. Most people believe reality is something they simply enter each morning. They wake up and assume the day has already been decided by circumstances. But your experience of reality is built one choice at a time. The thoughts you accept influence your emotions. Your emotions influence your actions. Your actions create results. Those results become tomorrow's circumstances. Reality is not only what happens around you, it is also what grows from within you. This does not mean you can pretend difficulties do not exist. Real challenges deserve honest attention. Bills must still be paid. Conversations must still be had. Responsibilities remain real. Choosing a new reality is not about denying facts. It is about refusing to let today's facts become tomorrow's identity. Your subconscious is always asking one quiet question: what kind of person am I becoming? It answers that question by watching what you repeatedly think and repeatedly do. It pays less attention to what you hope for and much more attention to what you practice. If your daily habits say you expect defeat, the subconscious accepts that message. If your daily habits say you expect growth, it begins supporting that direction instead. The universe often meets you through your decisions. Every meaningful choice sends a signal. When you choose courage over comfort, you create space for different opportunities. When you choose patience instead of panic, you notice solutions that anxiety often hides. The universe cannot guide a person who refuses to move. Even the smallest step creates a path that did not exist before. Many people wait for confidence before taking action. They believe confidence is something they must receive before they can begin. In truth, confidence usually follows action. Each promise you keep to yourself becomes evidence that you can be trusted. That evidence slowly replaces old doubt. Think about how easily one decision changes the direction of an entire day. Choosing to wake 30 minutes earlier creates more peace. Choosing to answer gently instead of reacting with anger protects a relationship. Choosing to spend 20 minutes learning instead of scrolling changes the quality of your attention. These choices appear ordinary, yet repeated often enough, they create an entirely different life. The old story always tries to convince you that change should happen later. It says, next week will be a better time. Next month will be easier. After one more problem is solved, then you can begin. The subconscious hears those delays as instructions. It learns that growth is always postponed. Before long, waiting becomes another habit. There is great power in deciding that today is enough. Not because today is perfect, but because today is available. Tomorrow exists only as an idea. Yesterday exists only as memory. Today is the only place where your thoughts can become actions. The first choice is often invisible to everyone except you. It is the decision to stop agreeing with the voice that says nothing can change. That voice may still appear. It may remind you of old failures. It may point toward disappointments you cannot erase. Listen without fear, but do not obey it. Old thoughts are not new instructions. Today, begin by choosing one area of your life that needs a different direction. Do not choose everything at once. Choose one. Perhaps it is your health, your finances, your relationships, your confidence. Write one clear sentence describing the reality you want to create. Keep it present and simple. I care for my body every day. I make wise financial decisions. I build peaceful relationships. Read that sentence aloud every morning and every evening for the next 7 days. Tomorrow, prove that sentence with one action before noon. If your new reality includes better health, take a 20-minute walk or prepare one healthy meal. If it includes financial peace, review your spending for 15 minutes instead of avoiding it. If it includes stronger relationships, send one sincere message of appreciation without expecting anything in return. The subconscious believes actions more quickly than promises. Throughout this week, create one evening habit that reminds you of your progress. Before going to bed, write down one choice you made that supported your new reality. It does not have to be dramatic. Maybe you remained calm during a difficult conversation. Maybe you finished a task you normally delay. Maybe you replaced one negative thought before it grew stronger. Record it. Your mind needs evidence that change is already happening. Do not compare your beginning with someone else's middle. Comparison steals attention from your own progress. Every person carries different experiences, different fears, and different lessons. The only comparison that truly matters is whether today's choices are stronger than yesterday's. There will be moments when your old habits seem easier. Familiar patterns always invite you back. They promise comfort because they are known, yet familiar does not always mean healthy. Growth often feels unfamiliar before it feels natural. Stay with the new choice long enough for it to become your normal. You may also notice that your emotions do not immediately match your decisions. That is completely natural. You can choose patience before you feel patient. You can choose discipline before you feel motivated. You can choose gratitude before your circumstances seem perfect. Feelings often follow repeated actions instead of leading them. A woman named Emily spent years believing she was incapable of finishing anything she started. She bought planners, enrolled in courses, and made countless promises to herself, but she rarely completed them. One evening, she decided to stop trying to change her whole life at once. She chose one simple commitment. Every morning, she would spend 15 minutes writing before checking her phone. The first week felt ordinary. The second week felt slightly easier. By the end of the month, she had completed something she once believed was impossible. More importantly, she no longer saw herself as someone who always quit. Her reality changed because her identity changed through repeated action. The universe often rewards steady movement more than dramatic effort. Small acts performed consistently create a stronger signal than rare bursts of enthusiasm. A river shapes stone not because of one powerful wave, but because it keeps flowing day after day. Accept that not every result will appear immediately. Some seeds grow quickly. Others remain unseen for a long time before breaking through the surface. Trust does not mean ignoring reality. Trust means continuing your practice even when visible proof has not yet arrived. The reality you experience next month is being shaped by the thoughts you repeat today, the habits you practice today, and the decisions you make today. Nothing about that process requires perfection. It only requires consistency. Every time you choose according to the person you want to become instead of the person you used to be, you strengthen a new direction. You already know more than enough to begin. You do not need another perfect plan before taking one meaningful step. You do not need permission from anyone else to become more disciplined, more peaceful, more grateful, or more courageous. The opportunity to choose differently is always present, even in the middle of an ordinary day. Tonight, before you fall asleep, decide on one action you will complete within the first hour after waking tomorrow. Make it simple enough that you cannot honestly avoid it. When morning comes, do that action before doubt has time to argue with you. Repeat this process every day for the next 7 days without breaking your promise to yourself. That is your challenge. Chapter 5. Your night mind creates tomorrow before dawn. The house is quiet. The lights are off. The conversations are over. You place your phone on the table and finally lie down. For a brief moment, there is silence. Then your mind begins to speak. It remembers something embarrassing from years ago. It reminds you of unfinished work. It wonders whether tomorrow will bring another disappointment. You tell yourself you should sleep, but the thoughts keep moving. Without realizing it, you are giving your subconscious its final lesson before the night begins. Many people think sleep is simply a time when the body rests. They forget that the mind remains active in remarkable ways. While your conscious attention becomes quiet, Your subconscious continues working. It sorts experiences. It strengthens memories. It organizes emotional patterns. It quietly decides which thoughts deserve to become more familiar. What you repeatedly think before sleep often receives special attention because there are fewer distractions competing with it. This is why the final minutes of your day matter more than they appear. They are not just the end of today, they become the beginning of tomorrow. The emotional state you carry into sleep often becomes the emotional tone you wake up with. If you fall asleep rehearsing fear, your subconscious continues practicing fear. If you fall asleep rehearsing peace, it has a different pattern to strengthen through the night. The subconscious does not sleep in the same way your conscious mind does. It continues connecting ideas, reinforcing habits, and organizing what you experienced throughout the day. Think of it as a quiet gardener. It waters whichever seeds received the most attention before darkness arrived. If the strongest seed is worry, worry grows stronger. If the strongest seed is gratitude, gratitude gains deeper roots. The universe often seems to meet you in the quiet hours, between one day and the next. Not because something magical happens while you sleep, but because your inner world becomes less crowded. During the day, your attention is pulled in many directions. At night, those distractions fade. Your deepest beliefs become easier to reinforce because the noise has settled. This is why so many people wake feeling exactly as they felt the night before. They assume morning creates a fresh beginning, yet they carried yesterday's emotional pattern directly into sleep. The body rested, but the story remained the same. A new sunrise cannot create a new reality if the subconscious keeps receiving the same instructions every evening. You do not need to control every thought before bed. That would only create frustration. Instead, you need to choose which thoughts deserve your attention during those final moments. One intentional thought, repeated with calm consistency, is more valuable than 20 anxious thoughts left unchallenged. There is another reason nighttime is so powerful. During the day, your conscious mind questions everything. It argues, it doubts, it analyzes. At night, those defenses begin to soften. The subconscious becomes more receptive to repeated ideas. This is why the quality of your evening habits influences far more than your sleep. It influences the direction of your thinking for the next day. Many people unknowingly spend the last hour before bed filling their minds with conflict, endless news, angry conversations, fearful predictions, constant comparison. Then they wonder why they wake feeling heavy. The subconscious cannot always separate what deserves attention from what simply received attention. Whatever you feed consistently becomes part of its work. That truth should not create fear. It should create responsibility. You have more influence over your evening than you may realize. Every peaceful habit becomes another message to your subconscious that tomorrow deserves a better beginning. Today, prepare your night before bedtime arrives. About 1 hour before sleep, decide that the final 30 minutes of your evening will belong to your future rather than your distractions. Turn off unnecessary screens. Lower the lights if possible. Allow your mind to recognize that the day is gently coming to an end, instead of ending abruptly with endless stimulation. Tomorrow evening, begin a simple 3-step practice. First, write down 3 things that went well today. They do not need to be extraordinary. Perhaps you kept your patience during a difficult moment. Perhaps you completed one important task. Perhaps you simply smiled at a stranger. Teach your subconscious to notice progress instead of constantly searching for problems. Second, write one lesson from the day. Ask yourself, What did today teach me? Keep your answer short. Maybe you learned that rushing creates mistakes. Maybe you discovered that asking for help brings relief. Maybe you realized you are stronger than you believed. Lessons help the subconscious organize experience with purpose instead of regret. Third, choose one sentence that reflects the person you are becoming. Keep it calm and believable. My mind prepares me for tomorrow with peace. I grow stronger while I rest. I welcome new opportunities with confidence. Read the sentence slowly 5 times before closing your eyes. Speak without force. You are not trying to convince yourself. You are simply giving your subconscious a clear direction. Throughout this week, protect the final 10 minutes before sleep as carefully as you would protect an important meeting. Do not spend those minutes arguing online, reading alarming headlines, or replaying painful conversations. Instead, breathe slowly, sit quietly, allow your nervous system to settle. Peace is easier to strengthen when you stop feeding unnecessary noise. Do not expect every night to feel perfect. Some evenings, your mind will still wander toward old fears. That is natural. Years of repetition cannot disappear in 1 week. When those thoughts appear, notice them kindly. Do not chase them. Do not fight them. Return your attention to your chosen sentence and your breathing. The gentle return is what teaches the new pattern. There will also be mornings when you wake without feeling dramatically different. Continue anyway. The subconscious often changes quietly before you consciously notice the results. Just as muscles become stronger through repeated exercise, your inner patterns become stronger through repeated practice. As your evenings change, your mornings often begin changing without effort. You may wake with less urgency. You may notice more clarity before the day begins. You may find yourself responding more thoughtfully instead of reacting automatically. These are signs that your subconscious is learning a different rhythm. A man named James struggled with restless nights for years. Every evening, he replayed mistakes from work until he finally fell asleep exhausted. He believed those thoughts were helping him prepare for tomorrow, but they only left him anxious. One night, he replaced that habit with a different routine. He wrote down 3 successful moments from the day, 1 lesson he had learned, and 1 peaceful sentence to carry into sleep. The first few nights felt unfamiliar. By the second week, he noticed he was waking with fewer anxious thoughts. Within a month, his co-workers commented that he seemed more focused and patient. His work improved, not because his responsibilities changed, but because the quality of his evenings had changed. The universe often responds to quiet consistency rather than dramatic effort. Every peaceful night prepares a steadier morning. Every grateful thought strengthens a more hopeful frequency. Every evening, you choose awareness over worry. You build a stronger foundation for the day waiting beyond dawn. Remember that tomorrow does not truly begin when the alarm rings. It begins with the thoughts you plant before your eyes close tonight. Those thoughts become the first seeds your subconscious waters while you rest. Choose them with care. You cannot predict every challenge waiting for you tomorrow. You cannot control every conversation or every surprise, but you can influence the mind that will meet those experiences. A peaceful mind notices possibilities that a fearful mind often misses. A grateful heart recognizes blessings that constant worry overlooks. Your night mind is always preparing something. It is either strengthening yesterday's fears or quietly building tomorrow's confidence. Every evening, you decide which process will continue while you sleep. Tonight, Protect the final 10 minutes before you close your eyes. Write 3 moments of gratitude, 1 lesson from today, and 1 sentence describing the person you are becoming. Read that sentence slowly 5 times, then allow yourself to sleep without returning to yesterday's worries. Continue this practice every night for the next 7 days without skipping once. That is your challenge. Chapter 6. Daily Alignment Changes Your Life from Within. The alarm rings, and for a brief moment everything is quiet. Before your feet touch the floor, your mind begins making choices. You may not notice them because they happen so quickly. One thought says you are already behind. Another says today will probably be difficult. Another reminds you of something that went wrong yesterday. Within a few minutes, your emotions begin following those thoughts. Nothing outside of you has changed yet, but something inside already has. Long before the world asks anything of you, your inner direction has been set. Many people believe transformation happens during rare moments of inspiration. They wait for a powerful feeling that finally changes everything. They believe one perfect morning, one unforgettable conversation, or one extraordinary opportunity will create a different life. Those moments can certainly help, but lasting change is usually built in ordinary hours. It grows through daily alignment. Alignment is simply the practice of allowing your thoughts, your words, and your actions to move in the same direction. When they disagree, life begins to feel heavy. You may say you want peace while spending every day feeding worry. You may say you want confidence while speaking harshly to yourself. You may say you want abundance while constantly expecting loss. The subconscious notices these mixed signals. It becomes uncertain because your actions and your intentions are telling 2 different stories. The universe responds more clearly when your inner life becomes consistent. A steady signal carries farther than a changing one. If you spend 1 day believing in yourself and the next 6 days repeating fear, the stronger pattern remains fear. Your frequency becomes reliable only when your choices become reliable. This is why discipline is an act of kindness toward yourself. Many people think discipline is about punishment or endless effort. In truth, discipline protects your future from your temporary emotions. It allows you to continue moving even when motivation quietly disappears. The subconscious trusts what you repeat, not what you promise. There is something peaceful about living in alignment. Decisions become simpler because they are guided by the person you are becoming instead of the mood you happen to feel. You stop asking whether you feel like doing the right thing. You simply ask whether the action matches your values. Most people underestimate the influence of small daily choices because the results seem invisible at first. Drinking 1 glass of water instead of another sugary drink does not transform your body overnight. Reading 10 pages each evening does not instantly make you wise. Speaking 1 kind sentence to yourself may not erase years of self-criticism. Yet every repeated choice becomes another vote for your future identity. The subconscious keeps count even when you do not. Every promise you keep strengthens trust within yourself. Every promise you break without reason weakens it. This is why confidence is built quietly. It grows when you repeatedly prove to yourself that your actions match your intentions. Many people search for a completely different life while protecting the habits that created the current one. They want new results without new routines. They hope circumstances will change first so they can finally become disciplined. But alignment works in the opposite direction. You become disciplined first, then your circumstances slowly begin reflecting that change. You do not need dozens of new habits. Too many changes often create unnecessary pressure. One consistent habit practiced every day has greater power than 10 habits practiced occasionally. Simplicity gives the subconscious something clear to learn. Today, choose one daily habit that represents the person you want to become. Make it small enough that you can complete it even on difficult days. If you want greater peace, spend 5 quiet minutes breathing before checking your phone. If you want stronger health, walk for 20 minutes each morning. If you want greater wisdom, read 10 pages of something meaningful every evening. Decide on one habit and protect it. Tomorrow, add a second practice that connects your thoughts with your actions. Before beginning your most important task, pause for 1 minute. Close your eyes. Take 5 slow breaths. Repeat one sentence that supports your purpose. I complete what matters. My attention creates my future. I act with calm and confidence, then begin working immediately, without waiting for perfect motivation. Throughout this week, review your day before going to sleep. Ask yourself 3 simple questions. Did my thoughts support my goals today? Did my words encourage the person I want to become? Did my actions match my intentions? Answer honestly without judging yourself. If one answer is no, decide what one small adjustment you will make tomorrow. Growth comes from awareness followed by action. There will be days when alignment feels difficult. You may become frustrated. You may lose patience. You may forget your practice entirely for a few hours. That does not erase your progress. The important moment is not when you drift away. The important moment is when you return. Every return teaches your subconscious that this new direction matters. Do not mistake perfection for alignment. Perfect people do not exist. Aligned people simply return to their values more quickly after making mistakes. They accept responsibility without creating unnecessary shame. They correct their direction instead of criticizing themselves for taking a wrong turn. As your inner life becomes more consistent, you may notice surprising changes around you. Decisions become clearer. Relationships feel healthier because your words carry greater honesty. Opportunities appear where confusion once existed. These changes are not accidents. Clear inner direction often creates clear outer movement. A woman named Rachel wanted to become more confident, but every morning she criticized herself before leaving the house. She said she wanted success, yet her daily thoughts carried constant doubt. She decided to practice one habit for 30 days. Every morning she stood quietly, took 5 slow breaths, and repeated, "I respect myself through my daily choices." Then she completed one important task before checking social media. The habit seemed almost too simple, yet after several weeks, she noticed she was speaking differently during meetings. She volunteered for responsibilities she once avoided. Her manager recognized her growing confidence and offered her a leadership opportunity. Her life changed because her daily alignment changed first. The universe rarely asks for dramatic effort. It responds to steady consistency. A peaceful mind practiced every day becomes a peaceful character. A grateful heart practiced every day begins noticing reasons to remain grateful. A disciplined life grows through ordinary mornings, repeated with intention. You cannot force every door to open. Some opportunities require patience. Some seasons require waiting. Alignment gives you something meaningful to do while waiting. Instead of becoming discouraged by what you cannot control, you strengthen the person who will eventually walk through the next open door. Every sunrise offers another opportunity to align your inner world with your highest values. Yesterday's mistakes do not have to become today's instructions. Each morning invites a fresh decision. You can repeat old habits, or you can reinforce new ones. The choice belongs to you. The life you hope to experience is not built only through extraordinary achievements. It is built through ordinary moments lived with extraordinary consistency. Every calm response, every honest action, every promise kept, every grateful thought. These become the quiet foundation beneath lasting transformation. Tonight, choose one daily habit that reflects the person you are becoming. Write it down. Place it somewhere you will see it when you wake tomorrow. Complete that habit before the day becomes busy, and repeat it every day for the next 7 days without negotiating with yourself. Allow your actions to agree with your intentions. That is your challenge. Chapter 7. Detachment frees you from fear and doubt. You check your phone again. There is still no reply. A few minutes pass, and you look once more. Your mind begins creating answers before any real answer exists. Maybe they are ignoring you. Maybe you said something wrong. Maybe the opportunity has disappeared. The longer you wait, the heavier the feeling becomes. Nothing outside of you has actually changed. The only thing that has grown is the story inside your mind. Before long, your peace depends on something you cannot control. This is how attachment quietly steals your freedom. It convinces you that your happiness must wait for a certain result. It tells you that you can only relax after the promotion arrives, after the relationship improves, after the money appears, after everyone approves of you. Until then, your mind remains trapped in constant expectation. Fear grows wherever attachment becomes too strong. The more tightly you hold one specific outcome, the more frightened you become of losing it. Doubt follows close behind. Every delay feels like failure. Every obstacle feels permanent. Every silence feels personal. Soon your attention is no longer focused on living well today. It is consumed by trying to control tomorrow. Detachment does not mean giving up. It does not mean becoming cold, careless, or unmotivated. It means giving your best effort while accepting that the final result is not completely yours to control. There is a deep difference between commitment and attachment. Commitment inspires action. Attachment creates anxiety. The subconscious learns from the emotional state you repeat. If every goal becomes connected with stress, your mind slowly begins associating growth with pressure. You may even start avoiding opportunities because your subconscious expects them to bring worry instead of fulfillment. Detachment changes that pattern. It teaches the mind that effort can exist without constant fear. The universe often works through timing you cannot predict. Some opportunities arrive quickly. Others require patience. Many people abandon their path because they mistake delay for rejection. They assume nothing is happening simply because they cannot yet see the result. Yet many important changes develop quietly before becoming visible. Think about planting a seed. Every day you water the soil, but for a while, nothing appears above the surface. If you judge the process only by what your eyes could see, you would believe your effort was wasted. Beneath the ground, however, roots are forming. Growth is already happening where your attention cannot reach. Your life often follows the same pattern. The conversations you have today may create opportunities months from now. The discipline you practice this week may strengthen you for a challenge you have not yet met. The kindness you offer someone today may return in an unexpected form years later. You rarely see the complete picture while you are living it. Attachment demands immediate proof. Detachment trusts consistent effort. One creates exhaustion, the other creates peace. There is another quiet gift hidden inside detachment. It allows you to enjoy the present, instead of constantly measuring it against the future. When every moment becomes only a stepping stone toward the next achievement, life begins to feel empty, even during success. But when you appreciate today's work for its own value, fulfillment becomes available long before the final result arrives. This is why grateful people often appear calmer. Gratitude naturally creates detachment from constant striving. It reminds you that life already contains blessings, while you continue building something greater. Gratitude and ambition can exist together. One keeps you moving forward. The other keeps your heart at peace. Today, begin by identifying one result you have been trying to control too tightly. It may be a relationship, a financial goal, a career opportunity, or someone else's opinion of you. Write it down. Then divide a page into 2 columns. On one side, write, "What I can control." On the other side, write, "What I cannot control." Under the first column, list your actions, your preparation, your attitude, and your consistency. Under the second column, list other people's choices, perfect timing, unexpected events, and final outcomes. Read both lists slowly. Your energy belongs in the first column. Tomorrow morning, practice releasing unnecessary pressure. Sit quietly for 5 minutes. Take a slow breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. With each breath, repeat one sentence. I give my best and release the rest. Say it 10 times without rushing. Do not force yourself to feel peaceful. Simply allow the words to become familiar. Throughout this week, whenever you notice yourself checking for results repeatedly, pause before reacting. Whether it is refreshing your email, watching your phone, or worrying about someone else's response, stop for 30 seconds. Take 3 slow breaths. Ask yourself one question. Have I already done what I can do today? If the answer is yes, gently return your attention to the task in front of you. This simple habit teaches the subconscious that peace does not depend on constant monitoring. You will still care deeply about your goals. Detachment does not remove passion, it removes desperation. There is a quiet confidence that grows when you know your value does not rise and fall with every temporary outcome. You begin working because the work reflects your character, not because success is the only thing that can make you feel worthy. Some days, doubt will still appear. That is natural. Doubt is part of being human. The difference is that you no longer treat every doubtful thought as a command. You notice it, you breathe, you continue taking the next wise step. Courage is not the absence of doubt. Courage is choosing your values, even while doubt whispers in the background. You may also discover that detachment improves your relationships. When you stop trying to control how others think or behave, conversations become lighter. You listen more carefully. You speak more honestly. You stop chasing approval because your peace no longer depends on receiving it. Ironically, people often respond more positively when they no longer feel pressured by your expectations. A man named David spent months waiting to hear whether he had earned a promotion. Every day he refreshed his email dozens of times. Every conversation at work felt heavy because his happiness depended on one decision he could not control. One evening, he realized he had forgotten how to enjoy the work itself. He began a different practice. Each morning, he focused on completing his responsibilities with excellence. At the end of every day, he asked only one question: did I give my best today? If the answer was yes, he allowed himself to rest, without replaying every possibility. A few weeks later, he received the promotion. Yet he noticed something even more important. His peace had returned before the news arrived. He had already become the kind of person he hoped success would make him. The universe often brings unexpected opportunities to those who remain open instead of desperate. A desperate mind sees only one possible path. A peaceful mind notices many. Detachment widens your vision because fear no longer narrows your attention. Remember that every meaningful goal requires both effort and patience. Effort without patience creates frustration. Patience without effort creates stagnation. Detachment allows both to exist together. You continue planting seeds while trusting that growth follows its own rhythm. You cannot control every answer life gives you. You cannot force every door to open today. But you can control the quality of your effort, the honesty of your actions, and the peace you carry while you wait. Those things are enough to shape the person you are becoming. Tonight, choose one outcome you have been holding too tightly. Write it on a piece of paper. Underneath it, write 3 actions you can take tomorrow that are completely within your control. Then commit yourself to those actions and release everything else. Repeat this practice every evening for the next 7 days. Give your best effort each day, then allow yourself to rest without chasing certainty. That is your challenge. Chapter 8. You trust the invisible process without resistance. You water the plant sitting near your window every morning. On the first day, nothing changes. After a week, it still looks almost the same. You could easily decide that your effort is pointless and stop caring for it. Yet you know something important. Growth does not disappear simply because it cannot be seen. Beneath the soil, roots are spreading in silence. The most important work is happening where your eyes cannot reach. Your own life often follows the same pattern. You begin practicing new thoughts. You become more disciplined. You speak to yourself with greater kindness. You protect your attention. Yet after a few days, your circumstances seem almost unchanged. This is the moment when many people quietly give up. They mistake invisible progress for no progress. The subconscious does not transform in dramatic bursts. It changes through steady repetition. Every time you choose a healthier thought, a calmer response, or a wiser action, you strengthen a new pathway within yourself. That pathway may feel weak at first, because the old one has been used for years, but every repetition gives it more strength. The universe often works in ways that cannot be measured by today's results alone. Some opportunities are already moving toward you through conversations you have not yet had. Some answers are taking shape inside people you have not yet met. Some lessons require time before they can become wisdom. If everything arrived immediately, patience would never grow, and neither would character. Trusting the invisible process means accepting that not every meaningful change announces itself. Some of the greatest transformations begin quietly. A person becomes more patient long before anyone notices. Confidence grows inside before it appears in conversation. Peace develops in private before it becomes visible in public. Resistance usually begins when reality does not match your preferred timeline. You expect quick improvement, but life moves more slowly. You hope 1 week of discipline will erase years of unhealthy habits. You expect one conversation to repair a relationship that took years to weaken. When expectations become unrealistic, frustration replaces trust. Resistance also appears when you constantly ask whether the process is working. Every day becomes another test. Every delay becomes another reason to doubt. Instead of living your practice, you spend your energy measuring it. Ironically, this constant searching often steals the peace you hope to create. The subconscious responds better to calm consistency than anxious effort. When you practice because you trust the process, your mind relaxes into learning. When you practice only to force quick results, tension becomes part of the lesson. Over time, your subconscious begins connecting growth with pressure instead of freedom. There is wisdom in allowing life to unfold one step at a time. You already understand this in other parts of life. You would not expect a child to become an adult in one season. You would not expect a tree to bear fruit the day after it is planted. Yet many people expect instant transformation from themselves. They demand from their own hearts what they would never demand from nature. The universe is not always saying no when something takes longer than expected. Sometimes it is strengthening qualities that success alone could never teach. Patience, humility, gratitude, persistence. These qualities often become the foundation that allows you to handle the very blessing you have been asking for. Trust is not passive. Trust does not mean sitting still while hoping everything improves. Trust means continuing your daily actions without allowing temporary silence to become permanent doubt. It means showing up even when no one applauds your effort. It means believing that today's faithful choices matter, even before tomorrow proves they did. Today, choose one goal that feels as though it is taking too long. Write it down on a page. Underneath it, answer 3 questions. What have I already learned because of this process? How has this challenge made me stronger? What quality is growing inside me while I wait? Spend at least 10 minutes answering honestly. You may discover that progress has been happening in ways you never measured. Tomorrow morning, begin your day without checking for evidence that your life has changed. Instead, spend 5 quiet minutes focusing only on the person you are becoming. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, take slow breaths. Repeat one sentence 10 times. I trust steady growth. My consistent actions create lasting change. I remain faithful even when I cannot yet see the results. Speak calmly. Allow the words to settle without demanding immediate emotion. Throughout this week, create one habit that teaches your subconscious patience. Choose one activity that requires steady attention without rushing. It may be reading 10 pages each day, caring for a plant, practicing a musical instrument, walking without distractions, or learning a new skill for 15 minutes. As you complete the habit, remind yourself that meaningful progress often arrives quietly. This practice strengthens your ability to value consistency over instant reward. There will be days when your old doubts return. You may wonder whether your effort matters. You may compare your progress with someone else's success. When this happens, pause instead of reacting. Comparison is often resistance wearing a different face. It shifts your attention away from your own path and places it on someone else's timeline. Return to your practice. Return to your breathing. Return to today's responsibility. You may also notice unexpected opportunities appearing in small ways. A conversation feels easier. A difficult decision becomes clearer. A habit that once required great effort now feels natural. These changes may seem ordinary, but they are signs that the invisible process is becoming visible. Do not overlook them simply because they are quiet. A woman named Olivia spent nearly a year trying to build a small business. Every week, she questioned whether she should quit because the results seemed slow. She continued learning, improving, and serving the people she could reach instead of worrying about the people she could not. She stopped measuring every day by sales alone. Instead, she measured it by whether she had shown up with honesty and excellence. Months later, a recommendation from one satisfied customer introduced her work to many others. Her business grew steadily after that. Looking back, she realized the most valuable part of the waiting season was not the success that eventually came. It was the discipline, patience, and confidence she developed before success arrived. The universe often rewards the person who remains faithful when no reward is visible. Not because life is keeping score, but because consistent effort changes the person who gives it. By the time the opportunity arrives, you have become capable of receiving it wisely. Remember that resistance usually asks one question: why hasn't it happened yet? Trust asks a different question: who am I becoming while I wait? The first question creates anxiety. The second creates growth. You cannot always see tomorrow's harvest while planting today's seeds. You cannot always understand why one door remains closed while another quietly begins opening. Accept that some answers belong to time. Your responsibility is not to force every outcome. Your responsibility is to remain aligned with the values you have chosen. Every patient thought strengthens your subconscious. Every consistent action sends a clearer signal. Every peaceful response reminds your heart that growth is not measured only by visible success. It is measured by the person you become through faithful practice. Tonight, before you go to sleep, write down one area of your life where you have been demanding immediate results. Underneath it, write 3 ways you have already grown because of the process, even if the final outcome has not arrived. Read those 3 statements slowly before closing your eyes. Then continue showing up tomorrow with the same quiet commitment, without demanding proof before your next step. That is your challenge. Chapter 9. Awakening reveals the person you were meant to become. You catch your reflection for a brief moment as you walk past a window. You hardly stop to look. You see the same face you have seen thousands of times, and you keep moving. Yet something inside feels different, not because your circumstances have suddenly changed, but because the thoughts you have been practicing no longer sound quite the same. The voice that once rushed to criticize grows quieter. The fear that once controlled every decision no longer feels as convincing. You cannot point to one exact moment when everything shifted. You simply realize that you are responding to life differently than you once did. This is what awakening often feels like. It is rarely loud. It rarely arrives with dramatic signs or perfect certainty. More often, it is a quiet recognition that you no longer wish to live according to the old story. You begin seeing yourself with greater honesty. You stop confusing your past with your identity. You understand that the person you have been is not the only person you can become. Many people spend years searching for a completely different life while overlooking the quiet transformation already taking place within them. They expect awakening to feel extraordinary every day. Instead, it often appears through ordinary choices, repeated consistently. One calmer response, one healthier habit, one moment of courage, where fear once made every decision. The subconscious has been learning from every practice you have repeated, every peaceful thought, every grateful moment, every promise you kept to yourself. These experiences have slowly become familiar. The new way of thinking that once required effort now begins to feel natural. This is one of the clearest signs of lasting change. What once felt difficult now feels normal. The universe reflects this inner growth in subtle ways. You notice conversations becoming easier because you listen with greater patience. You recognize opportunities that your old fears would have ignored. You attract relationships that match the respect you have learned to give yourself. None of this happens because you became perfect. It happens because your inner life has become more aligned with the person you are choosing to be. Awakening is not becoming someone completely different. It is remembering qualities that have always existed beneath fear, doubt, and old conditioning. Peace was never absent. It was buried beneath constant worry. Confidence was never destroyed. It was hidden beneath repeated self-criticism. Gratitude was never impossible. It simply needed more attention than complaint. They think they will finally respect themselves after reaching a certain goal. Yet awakening reveals something simpler. Your worth is not waiting at the finish line. It has always been present. The habits you have been building are not creating your value. They are helping you recognize it. This realization changes the way you approach every goal. You no longer work to prove that you deserve success. You work because excellence reflects who you are becoming. You no longer seek approval as proof that you matter. You appreciate encouragement, but your peace no longer depends on receiving it. The center of your life quietly moves from outside circumstances to inner character. There will still be challenges. Awakening does not remove uncertainty from life. Difficult days will come. Unexpected disappointments will appear. People may misunderstand your intentions. Plans may change without warning. The difference is that these experiences no longer decide your identity. They become events you move through instead of prisons you live inside. You may also notice that some relationships begin changing. As your thinking becomes healthier, conversations that once felt comfortable may no longer satisfy you. Some people will celebrate your growth. Others may question it because your changes remind them of changes they have postponed. Accept both responses with kindness. Your responsibility is not to convince everyone. Your responsibility is to remain faithful to the truth you have discovered. Today, spend 15 quiet minutes writing a letter to yourself. Write from the perspective of the person you are becoming rather than the person you used to be. Begin with these words: "This is who I choose to be." Describe your character instead of your achievements. Write about your patience, your honesty, your discipline, your gratitude, and your courage. Focus on qualities that no circumstance can take away. Tomorrow morning, stand in front of a mirror before beginning your day. Look into your own eyes for 1 full minute. Breathe slowly. Then say one sentence that reflects your new identity. I act with wisdom and peace. I trust myself to grow through every experience. I live according to my highest values. Speak naturally. You are not trying to create someone new. You are reminding yourself of the person you are choosing to become. Throughout this week, practice one daily act that reflects your awakened character without expecting recognition. Help someone quietly. Keep a promise when no one is watching. Speak kindly, even when it would be easier to react with frustration. These unseen actions strengthen your identity because they teach your subconscious that your values matter more than applause. There will be moments when your old habits attempt to return. An old fear may suddenly appear. A familiar doubt may whisper that nothing has truly changed. Do not become discouraged. Every meaningful transformation includes moments of testing. Those moments are not signs of failure. They are opportunities to choose your new direction again. You may even surprise yourself with your responses. A situation that once would have ruined your entire day now becomes something you handle with calm. A criticism that once kept you awake at night now becomes a lesson instead of a wound. A delay that once created panic now becomes another opportunity to practice patience. These are not small victories. They are evidence that your inner foundation has become stronger. A man named Ethan spent years believing he would never be confident enough to lead others. He avoided responsibility because he feared making mistakes. Over time, he began practicing the habits you have been building. He changed the way he spoke to himself. He became consistent with small promises. He stopped measuring his worth by other people's opinions. One afternoon, his manager unexpectedly asked him to lead an important project. Months earlier, he would have refused immediately. This time, he accepted with quiet confidence. He was still nervous, but fear no longer made the decision. Looking back, he realized the promotion did not create his confidence. His daily choices had already done that long before the opportunity arrived. The universe often reveals your growth through opportunities that would once have frightened you. These moments are not accidents. They are invitations to live according to the person you have become. Accept them with humility. Accept them with gratitude. Accept them knowing that you no longer need to be perfect to move forward. Remember that awakening is not a destination where growth finally ends. It is a new way of living. Every day becomes another opportunity to deepen your peace, strengthen your discipline, and express your values through ordinary actions. You continue learning because life always has more to teach. You continue growing because growth itself becomes part of your character. You cannot return to the person you were once you clearly see who you are capable of becoming. The old story may still knock at your door, but you no longer have to invite it inside. You know another way now. You know that your thoughts shape your direction. You know that your habits strengthen your identity. You know that your inner life quietly influences everything you create. Tonight, before you go to sleep, write down 3 qualities that define the person you are choosing to become. Place that paper beside your bed. Tomorrow morning, read those 3 qualities aloud before you begin your day. Then complete one action that reflects each of them. Continue this practice every day for the next 7 days. Allow your identity to be shaped by what you repeatedly choose, not by what you once believed. That is your challenge. Chapter 10. You wake forever changed by your new consciousness. Morning arrives much like every morning before it. The light slips quietly through the window. The room is still. The world has not transformed overnight. The same walls surround you. The same responsibilities wait for your attention. Yet something is different. Before the familiar worries have a chance to speak, you notice a brief moment of silence inside yourself. It is small, but it is real. For the first time in a long time, you understand that you do not have to begin this day by repeating yesterday. You can choose differently before the old story has a chance to return. Many people spend their lives waiting for one dramatic event that changes everything. They expect transformation to arrive from the outside. They hope for perfect circumstances, sudden success, or a miraculous sign. Yet lasting change usually happens in another way. It grows quietly inside your awareness until one ordinary morning you realize you no longer think, speak, or respond as the person you once were. This new consciousness is not something you receive. It is something you practice until it becomes natural. Every peaceful thought you repeated, every grateful moment you protected, every promise you kept, every fearful story you refused to believe. Together, they created a new foundation. That foundation now supports the way you see yourself and the world around you. The subconscious has been listening through every step. It learned from your consistency more than your emotions. It watched you return to your practice after difficult days. It noticed when you chose patience instead of panic. It remembered every quiet decision to move forward instead of giving up. Those repeated choices have become part of you. The universe reflects this inner change with gentle honesty. You begin noticing possibilities where you once saw limitations. Challenges no longer appear as proof that life is against you. They become opportunities to strengthen qualities you have already been developing. Every experience becomes another invitation to practice wisdom instead of fear. This does not mean every day will feel easy. There will still be mornings when doubt knocks at your door. There will still be unexpected setbacks. People will disappoint you. Plans will change. Seasons of uncertainty will come and go. The difference is that your peace no longer depends on perfect conditions. Your stability now comes from within. You have learned that thoughts are choices, not commands. You have learned that emotions deserve compassion, but they do not deserve complete control over your decisions. You have learned that discipline is an expression of self-respect. You have learned that gratitude creates space for joy, even before every desire has been fulfilled. Perhaps the greatest change is this. You no longer see yourself as someone waiting to become enough. You recognize that growth does not begin after success. Growth creates success. The person you have been becoming is already capable of meeting tomorrow with greater wisdom than yesterday. Notice how different this feels from the life you once lived. Before, you searched outside yourself for certainty. You looked for approval before trusting your own voice. You waited for confidence before taking action. You expected perfect timing before beginning. Now you understand that confidence grows through action, peace grows through practice, and clarity often appears only after you take the first faithful step. There is freedom in accepting that life will always contain mystery. You do not need every answer before moving forward. You do not need to understand every delay before remaining patient. You no longer waste your energy fighting every unknown. Instead, you use your energy to become the kind of person who can meet the unknown with calm strength. The subconscious now recognizes a different pattern. It has become familiar with hope instead of constant worry. It has become familiar with discipline instead of endless excuses. It has become familiar with possibility instead of limitation. These new patterns will continue growing as long as you continue feeding them through your daily choices. Today, begin this new season with one meaningful act of commitment. Find a quiet place and write a simple statement beginning with these words: "From this day forward, I choose." Finish the sentence with the qualities that matter most to you. Perhaps you choose peace over fear, discipline over delay, gratitude over complaint, courage over comfort. Keep the statement where you will see it every morning. Tomorrow, create your first hour with intention. Do not allow the world to decide your state of mind before you do. Wake a little earlier if possible. Take 5 slow breaths. Read your statement aloud. Spend 10 minutes in silence, reflection, or prayer. Then complete one important task before distractions enter your day. Show your subconscious that your mornings now belong to purpose rather than reaction. Throughout this week, practice ending each evening with one simple question. Did I live according to the person I am becoming today? Do not judge yourself harshly. Simply answer honestly. If the answer is yes, give thanks. If the answer is no, choose one adjustment for tomorrow. Every honest reflection strengthens awareness. Every new choice strengthens character. Do not become discouraged if progress sometimes feels slow again. Growth does not move in a perfectly straight line. There will be seasons of rapid improvement and seasons that feel quiet. Trust both. The quiet seasons often deepen the roots that later support greater fruit. You may discover that your greatest victories become invisible to everyone except you. Perhaps you forgive someone without seeking recognition. Perhaps you remain calm during a situation that once would have overwhelmed you. Perhaps you quietly refuse to repeat an old habit. These moments deserve celebration because they reveal the person you have become. A woman named Grace spent years believing she would always be controlled by anxiety. Every morning began with fear about what might happen before the day had even started. She slowly changed her evenings, her mornings, and the words she repeated to herself. She practiced gratitude when she wanted to complain. She practiced patience when she wanted immediate answers. She practiced discipline when excuses seemed easier. Months later, a close friend asked her what had happened. "You seem lighter," her friend said. Grace smiled, because she realized something important. Her circumstances were not perfect. She still faced challenges, but she was no longer the same person meeting those challenges. Her consciousness had changed first, and everything else began changing from there. The universe often reflects the person you consistently choose to be, rather than the person you occasionally pretend to become. Authentic change cannot be rushed, borrowed, or performed for others. It grows quietly until it becomes impossible to separate your habits from your identity. Remember everything you have practiced. You learned to recognize the old story instead of obeying it. You taught your subconscious through repetition instead of wishful thinking. You changed your frequency by changing your daily attention. You created new habits that aligned your thoughts with your actions. You released attachment to outcomes and trusted steady effort. You discovered that invisible growth often comes before visible success. You remembered that awakening is not becoming someone else, but revealing the best within yourself. Now there is only one thing left to do. Continue. Do not return to old patterns simply because they are familiar. Do not abandon your practice because life becomes busy. Do not believe that one difficult day erases months of faithful choices. Every sunrise offers another opportunity to strengthen the life you have begun creating. Years from now, you may not remember every sentence you have heard. You may not remember every exercise you completed. But if you remain faithful to these simple principles, you will recognize something far more valuable. You will recognize yourself. You will see a person who meets uncertainty with peace, who responds to setbacks with wisdom, who chooses gratitude over fear, and who lives each day with quiet purpose. When you wake tomorrow morning, pause before your first thought carries you into another day. Place one hand over your heart. Take one slow breath. Then say these words with complete sincerity. Today, I choose the person I have become. Carry those words into every decision, every conversation, and every challenge for the next 30 days. Do not wait for life to prove that you have changed. Live as though the change has already begun. That is your challenge.